Baike, Plum Blossoms by Eihei Dogen, from Shobogenzo, the treasury of the true Dharma Eye. My late master Tendo, the eternal Buddha, is the 30th abbot and great master of Tendo Keitokuji Temple on Daibyaku Myozan Mountain, in the great Sung district of Kagan-fu. In formal preaching in the Dharma Hall, he preaches to the assembly. The first lines from Tendo this midwinter: jagged and fanged is the old plum tree. Suddenly it flowers. 1 flower, 2 flowers, 3, 4, 5 flowers, countless flowers. Its purity is not capable of pride. Its fragrance is not capable of pride. They spread out to create the look of spring and to fan the grass and trees. Patch-robed monks, each with bald head, instantly changing are the raging wind and the hard rain, while wrapping the earth in dragon-pattern robes. The snow is boundless. The old plum tree is very unconstrained. The freezing cold rubs the nostrils, and they sting. The old plum tree that has been revealed now is very unconstrained. It suddenly flowers and naturally bears fruit. Sometimes it makes the spring, and sometimes it makes the winter. Sometimes it makes a raging wind, and sometimes it makes a hard rain. Sometimes it is heads of patch-robed monks, and sometimes it is the eyes of eternal Buddhas. Sometimes it has become grass and trees, and sometimes it has become purity and fragrance. Its instant mystical changes and mystical wonder are unfathomable. Even the great earth and the high heavens, the bright sun and the pure moon, have established their merits, relying upon the tree merits of the old plum tree, whose state is entanglement, knotting and entwining with entanglement. When the old plum tree suddenly flowers, the opening of flowers is the occurrence of the world. A moment in which flowers opening is the occurrence of the world, its spring having arrived. At this moment, one flower is present as the opening of 5 petals. The time of this flower is able to include 3 flowers, 4 flowers, and 5 flowers. It includes hundreds of flowers, thousands of flowers, myriads of flowers, and kotis of flowers. And it includes countless flowers. The opening of these flowers, in all cases, is the old plum tree's state of being unable to be proud of 1 twig, 2 twigs, or countless twigs. Udambara flowers, Utpala flowers, and so on, also are 1 twig or 2 twigs of flowers of the old plum tree. In some, all cases of flowers opening are benevolent gifts of the old plum tree. The old plum tree is present in the human world and in the heavens above it. It is in the reality of the old plum tree that the merits of human societies and of heavenly palaces are established. Flowers that number hundreds or thousands we call the flowers of human beings and gods. Flowers that number myriads of kotis are the flowers of Buddhist patriarchs. Such a moment we call the Buddha's appearance in the world, and we call the ancestral masters originally coming to this land. My late master, the eternal Buddha, in formal preaching in the Dharma hall, preaches to the assembly. It is the time when Gautama got rid of the eye. In the snow, a single twig of plum blossoms. Now, every place has become a thorn. Yet I laugh at the swirling of the spring wind. Now that this eternal Buddha's Dharma wheel has been turned, in the farthest extremes of the universe, it is the moment in which all human beings and gods attain the truth. Nothing is left uncovered by the benefit of this Dharma, which reaches even clouds, rain, wind, and water, and grass, trees, and insects. Turned by this Dharma wheel, even the heavens, the earth, and national lands are the state of vigorous activity. Hearing words never before heard means listening to these words. Attaining the unprecedented means getting the present Dharma. It is a wheel of Dharma, which in general cannot be seen or heard without dreamy good fortune. In and around the 180 states of the great kingdom of Sung today, there are mountain temples and village temples whose number is beyond calculation, and in which there are many monks. But most of them have never seen my late master, the eternal Buddha. Those who have seen him may be few. Those who have witnessed his words may be a still smaller minority. How then could the people who have met with him and saluted him be many? Those who have been allowed into his inner sanctum are not even a few. How much less could people be permitted to do prostrations to my late master's skin, flesh, bones, marrow, eyes, and features? My late master, the eternal Buddha, does not easily grant monks' requests to stay at the temple. He usually says, people who are accustomed to not having the will to the truth are not permitted in my place. He sends them away at once. Having got rid of them, he says, without being a genuine person, what do they want to do? Dogs like that disturb others. They cannot stay. I have actually witnessed this. I have heard it with my own ears. I secretly thought to myself, what wrongness do they have not to be permitted to remain with us, even though they are people of this country? What luck do I have to be permitted not only to stay at the temple, but also to come and go as I please in the Master's inner sanctum, to do prostrations to his venerable form, and to listen to his words of Dharma, though I am a native of a distant foreign country. This excellent connection, which has formed between us in spite of my dullness, cannot be pure imagination. While my late master was spreading his influence through Song China, there were still people who were able to enter into the truth, along with people who were unable to enter. Now that my late master, the eternal Buddha, has departed Song China, it may be darker than a moonless night. Why? I say so because at around the time of my late master, the eternal Buddha, there were no other eternal Buddhas like my late master, the eternal Buddha. That being so, in now aspiring to see and hear the foregoing preaching, we students of a later age should be mindful. Do not imagine that human beings and gods in other directions might be able to see and to hear, or might be able to learn in practice, a wheel of Dharma like the present one. Plum blossoms in the snow are the one appearance of the Udambara flower. How often does it recur in everyday life that while looking at the right Dharma eye treasury of our Buddha Tathagata, we pass over the winking of an eye and do not break into a smile. Yet just now we have received the authentic transmission of, and have been struck by the realization that plum blossoms in the snow are the very eye of the Tathagata. Picking up this realization, we make it into the eye on the forehead, and we make it into the eyeballs in the eyes. Further, when we get inside plum blossoms themselves and perfectly realize plum blossoms, doubtful causes or circumstances never appear at all. Just this is the eye of, in the heavens above and under the heavens, I alone am the honoured one. And it is honoured throughout the reality of the Dharma world. That being so, heavenly flowers in the heavens above, heavenly flowers in the human world, the Mandareva flowers, Maha Mandareva flowers, Manjusaka flowers, and Maha Manjusaka flowers that rain from the heavens, together with the miscellaneous flowers of limitless lands in the 10 directions, are all the dependents of plum blossoms in the snow, for they have bloomed by receiving a part of the benefit of plum blossoms. The hundreds of kotis of flowers are the dependents of plum blossoms. We should call them miniature plum blossoms. All other flowers, flowers in space, flowers on the ground, flowers in samadhi and so on, are common flowers which are the large and small dependents of plum blossoms. Flowers that open in the lands which make up the hundreds of kotis of lands inside a flower are all a portion of the benefit of these plum blossoms. Beyond the benefit apportioned by plum blossoms, there is no other raindrop or dewdrop of benefit at all. Lifeblood totally derives from plum blossoms. Do not learn that the place where snow is boundless is only the Shurin temple in the Suzan mountains. Snow is boundless, is the eye of the Tathagata. It illuminates overhead and illuminates underfoot. Do not learn it as only the snow of a snow palace on a white mountain. It is the eye of the right Dharma, of the aged Gautama. The 5 eyes are perfectly realized at this place. The 1,000 eyes may be roundly realized in this eye. Truly, there cannot be a single atom of the real form of all dharmas, which the body-mind and the brightness of the aged Gautama do not perfectly realize. Though there are differences in the views of human beings and gods, and though the sentiments of the common and the sacred diverge, the boundless expanse of snow is the earth, and the earth is the boundless expanse of snow. Though there is coming from the west, and there is movement to the east, they are the present place that is the now of plum blossoms. The state in which the realization of now is like this is described as realizing thorns. There is the now of old branches and new branches on big limbs, and there is the present place of old twigs and new twigs on small stems. We should learn places as having arrived, and we should learn having arrived as now. The inside of 3, 4, 5, and 6 flowers is the inside of countless flowers. A flower is equipped with inner virtues which are profound and universal, and it completely reveals outer virtues which are noble and great. This outside and inside is the blooming of a flower. It is a single twig, and so there is no extraneous twig and no extraneous variety. He who calls the presence of one twig the now is old man Gautama. Because the transmission is a single twig, it is transmitted from rightful successor to rightful successor. And for this reason, my existence is the right Dharma eye treasury, and its transmission to Mahakasyapa, and what you have got is my marrow. Such realization of the present place is wherever it occurs without exception, the great and valuable life, and therefore it is 5 petals opening. 5 petals are a plum flower. On this basis, the 7 Buddhist patriarchs exist, and the 28 patriarchs of India in the west, the 6 patriarchs of the eastern lands, and 19 further patriarchs exist. They are all 5 petals opening on a single twig, and are a single twig of 5 petals. having mastered 1 twig, and having mastered 5 petals, we meet the authentic transmission of plum blossoms in the snow. When we have transformed the body and transformed the mind inside the stream of the words a single twig, a cloud and the moon are one, and the river valley and the mountains are independent. Still, people who have never had the eyes of learning in practice say, the meaning of 5 petals is that the 5 patriarchs of the eastern lands and the first patriarch make a flower. When we list those 5 generations, they are beyond past and present, former and latter, and so we describe them as 5 petals. These words are not even worth taking up to examine and defeat. Such people are not skin bags who practice under Buddhas and practice under patriarchs. They are pitiful. How could the truth that 5 petals are a flower be of only the 5 patriarchs? Are patriarchs after the 6th patriarch not to be mentioned? That is inferior to the talk of small children. We should not see or hear it, even in a dream. My late master, the eternal Buddha, on the first morning of the year, says in formal preaching in the Dharma hall, a New Year's morning is the start of happiness. The myriad things are totally fresh. With respect, monks of the assembly, I say to you, the plum tree reveals early spring. Upon quiet reflection, even if the venerable old drills of the past, present, and future are liberated in body throughout the 10 directions, if they do not have the expression, the plum tree reveals early spring, who can call them individuals who have expressed the truth perfectly? My late master, the eternal Buddha, stands alone as an eternal Buddha among eternal Buddhas. His purport is that, embraced by the plum tree's blooming, myriad springs have arrived early. Myriad springs are 1 or 2 of the virtues contained in a plum tree. Just 1 spring is able to make the myriad things totally fresh, and to make the myriad dharmas into a new year's morning. Starting of happiness is rightness of the eye. The myriad things expresses not only past, present, and future, but from before King Majestic Voice to the eternal future. He is saying that this immeasurable and infinite past, present, and future is totally fresh, and so this real freshness has got free of freshness. On this basis, Master Tendo speaks of treating the monks of the assembly with respect, on the basis that his respectful treatment of the monks of the assembly is the state of the ineffable. My late master, Tendo, the eternal Buddha, says in formal preaching in the Dharma hall, if even a single word accords, the 10,000 ages do not move. Willow eyes are popping out on new twigs. plum blossoms are filling up old branches. That is to say, 100 major kalpas of pursuing the truth are from beginning to end a single word according with the Buddha's state. And the effort of one instant of consciousness is, both before and after, the 10,000 ages not moving. That which makes new twigs flourish and willow eyes pop out is the new twigs themselves, and at the same time it is the willow eyes themselves. The principle holds that willow eyes are nothing other than willow eyes. At the same time, we investigate them as the new twigs. We should learn the new in practice as the total freshness of the myriad things. The meaning of plum blossoms are filling up old branches is that plum blossoms are the whole of each old branch, that they thoroughly realize each old branch, and that each old branch is just plum blossoms, or, for example, that blossoms and branches have entered into practice together, that blossom and branches have grown together, and that blossoms and branches have become full together. Because blossoms and branches become full together, the Buddha says, I possess the right Dharma eye treasury and the fine mind of nirvana, and I transmit them to Maha Kasyapa. At which time each face fills the picking up of a flower, and every flower fills the smiling face. My late master, the eternal Buddha, in formal preaching in the Dharma hall, says to all the monks of the assembly, the willows are wearing belts, the plum blossom is clad in braces. Those braces are beyond shoku brocade and banker's gem. They are what the plum blossom reveals. What the plum blossom reveals is, I who am the marrow, having got you. King Prasenajit invites the Venerable Pindola to a midday meal, upon which occasion the king asks, I have heard that the Venerable One has intimately met Buddha. Is it true or not? The Venerable One, lifting up an eyebrow with his hand, indicates affirmation. My late master, the eternal Buddha, praises him as follows. By lifting an eyebrow, he answers the question in part. He has met Buddha intimately, without any mutual deceit. To this day, he deserves offerings from the 4 quarters. Spring is on the plum twigs, embraced by the coldness of the snow. This is the story of King Prasenajit asking the Venerable One if he has met Buddha or not met Buddha. Meeting Buddha means becoming Buddha. To become Buddha means to lift an eyebrow. If the Venerable One had only experienced the effect of arhathood, Without being a true arhat, he could not meet Buddha. Without meeting Buddha, he could not become Buddha. Without becoming Buddha, he might be unable to attain the state of Buddha, which is the lifting of an eyebrow. So remember, as a disciple of Shakyamuni Buddha's face-to-face transmission, as one who, having already experienced the fourth effect, is awaiting his manifestation in the world as a later Buddha. How could the Venerable One not be meeting Shakyamuni Buddha? This meeting Shakyamuni Buddha is not meeting with a Buddha. We have learned in practice that the state in which we meet Shakyamuni Buddha as Shakyamuni Buddha is meeting Buddha. King Prasenajit, having been able to open these eyes of learning in practice, encounters a skilled hand lifting an eyebrow. To grasp the point of the words, he has met Buddha intimately. We should quietly possess eyes that experience Buddha. This spring is beyond the human world, and it is not confined to the Buddha land. It is on the plum twigs. How do we know that it is so? The coldness of the snow is the lifting of an eyebrow. My late master, the eternal Buddha, says, "The original features are without life and death. Spring is in the plum blossoms and has entered the picture." In picturing spring, we should not picture willows, apricot trees, plum trees, and peach trees. We should just picture spring. To picture willows, apricot trees, peach trees, and plum trees is to picture willows, apricot trees, peach trees, and plum trees. It is never to have pictured spring. It is not true that spring should not be pictured. Nevertheless, besides my late master, the eternal Buddha, there is no one from India in the west to China in the east who has pictured spring. My late master, the eternal Buddha, is the only sharp brush tip to picture spring. The spring he is describing now is spring as a picture, and because it had entered a picture, he need not summon any extra effort. He has let plum blossoms enter a picture, and let them enter trees, only so that they may usher in spring. It is a skillful means. My late master, the eternal Buddha, by virtue of his clarity in the right Dharma eye treasury, realizes the authentic transmission of this right Dharma eye treasury through Buddhist patriarchs assembled in the 10 directions in the past, present, and future. Thus, he has penetrated the eye and has clarified plum blossoms. On the 6th day of the 11th lunar month, in the 4th year of the Japanese era of Ninji, at Ketsu Reiji Temple in the Yoshida district of Eshu, deep snow, 3 feet thick covers the earth in a boundless expanse. If by chance some demon of the self appears, and the plum blossom seem not to be the eye of Gautama, then think, what other Dharma, perhaps having been cited as more apt than plum blossoms to be the eye, could be seen as the eye? And if, at such a time, we look for the eye elsewhere, then every moment will be in the state of being face to face without recognizing each other, because mutual encounter will not yet be realized. Today is not my today. It is the today of a great master. Simply let the eye of the plum blossoms be clear. Stop searching for anything further. My late master, the eternal Buddha, says, "It is patently clear. Stop searching back and forth for something behind the semblance of the plum blossom. In the becoming of rain and the becoming of clouds, the past and present is naturally there. The past and present being empty, what end point could there be?" Thus, the becoming of clouds and the becoming of rain is the speaking and doing of the plum blossom. Floating clouds and falling rain are the plum blossom's thousands of twists and turns and myriad layers of colour, its thousands of merits and myriad virtues. The past and present being naturally there is the plum blossom. The plum blossom is called the past and present. In the past, Zen Master Hoen says, "The north wind mixes with snow and shakes the valley forest. Though the myriad things have sunk under cover, regret is not deep. The only presence is the mountain plum trees, which are full of spirit. Before December, they are already spewing the mind for all the coldness of the year." Now, without penetrating the concrete situation of plum blossoms, it is hard to know the mind that is ready for all the coldness of the year. A bit of the virtue of the plum blossoms, mixed with the north wind, has become the snow. Clearly, that which draws the wind makes the snow, brings order to the year, and causes the myriad things of the valley forest to exist, is totally the power of the plum blossoms. The veteran monk, Taigen Fu, praised the realization of the truth as follows: "I remember at the beginning, before realization, each call of the painted long horn was a call of sorrow. Now, there are no idle dreams on my pillow. I leave the plum blossoms to blow in gusts large and small." Veteran monk Fu was formerly a giver of lectures, enlightened by the cook of Kasan Mountain. He realized the great state of realization, which is the plum blossoms letting the spring wind blow, in gusts, large and small.